John, please start the recording. All right, it's 10 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Stephen Datz, Chair of the Awards Committee. I'd like to call the January 26, 2023 awards meeting to order. We have a physical quorum represented by Joe Orfano, Laura Shepis, Haibu, and myself. We also have Ricky Erickson joining us online. The Office of General Counsel is represented by Rebecca Levy. Budget is represented by Stephanie Neely. Before we begin reviewing today's agenda, I'll note that there isn't anyone physically present for public comment. John, did you receive any public comment via email?
No public comments were received.
Thank you. Let the record show we did not receive any public comment. I'll pause for a moment to allow callers joining us online to unmute and speak up. Hearing no comments, we'll proceed with today's regular agenda. We have items 1 through 8 that have been reviewed by Procurement and Budget. These items are now ready to be reviewed by the Awards Committee, beginning with item 1, representing the minutes from January 19, 2023 Awards Committee meeting. Are there any comments or corrections to be discussed? All right, hearing none, may I get a motion to approve award item 1?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Joe Orfano, a second from Laura Shepis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes are approved as presented. I'll pass it over to Jenny McCollum, our Chief Procurement Officer, to present each of the remaining items before I ask for a motion, beginning with item 2.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 2 is a contract increase. This is for engineering services for the Rivertown Water Treatment Plant project. CDM Smith, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $273,278. We expect this to be completed in November of 2023. And I'll note this contract increase includes services for the partial startup of the plant required as part of JEA's interim plan to meet water demands during the peak water usage season. This contract increase also includes additional services during construction. And I'll also note that this increase was not included in the award that we brought before the awards committee a few weeks ago due to extended negotiations on the scope of the increased services during construction. That's why you're seeing this again a couple of weeks later. Any questions or comments?
Hey,
All right, I'll pass it back. Oh, go ahead.
sorry. This is Hy. Just really a quick question to Brian Phillips. When are we expecting Rivertown to be online?
Hi, this is Mickey Willoughby. Brian Phillips is at Mandarin doing a walkthrough on a project. So he asked me to make sure I called in. But we're planning on a substantial completion date is shown as November the 21st at the present time. We've had several equipment delays, including the delivery of an automatic transfer switch, which is due on November the 14th.
When are we expecting to pump water out of Rivertown going through all the temporary measures?
Going through the temporary measures? Yes, sir. We are expecting to do that on April 1. We'll have testing and startup in the March timeframe. We're making all preparations for construction, delivery, installation of equipment, and then we'll do disinfection, bacteria testing, obtain clearances from FDEP in St. Johns County with the goal of going into operations April 1.
All right, thank you, Mickey. I'm depending on you.
Yes, sir. I understand.
I appreciate it.
Message received.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 2?
Haibu, so moved.
And a second?
Joe Orfano, second.
We have a motion from Haibu, a second from Joe Orfano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 3.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 3 is a renewal. These are the portable diesel pump rentals for hurricane season. Sunbelt Rentals, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $324,090. This is our first one-year renewal, so we still have one renewal remaining. And I'll just note the unit prices for the pumps were fixed for the first 2 years of the contract. So the unit prices have increased by about 15%. When we compare that to what CPI has done over the last 2 years, we deem that reasonable. Any questions or comments?
So this is high. What CPI are we judging this? This is not purchase, this is rental, and the equipment is already there. So they're not building anything new. What are the price increases for, I guess, labor and other things that the company's incurring?
Dan Crook, yes, that's correct. The labor costs have increased by quite a bit over these last couple of years.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you. May I get a motion to approve award item 3?
So moved.
And a second?
I move second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Laura Shepis, a second from Hai Vu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 4.
Thank you through the chair. Award number 4 is a single source. This is a purchase of 2 sink closed capacitor bank breakers for the Eagle LNG substation. And these, just note, these breakers are not currently in inventory. Mitsubishi Electric Power Products, Inc. Is our recommended awardee in the amount of $370,874. It's a one-time purchase. We expect these to arrive at July of 2024. I'll note JEA has used Mitsubishi breakers and other capacitor bank locations, found their performance preferred to the other breakers, specifically for capacitor bank applications. Due to the criticality of this substation, JEA prefers to use equipment that has been previously installed, and JEA is comfortable in its ability to perform as required. Utilizing another untested product line, exposes JEA's capacitor banks to operational risks. And I'll just note that we've used various Mitsubishi breaker applications over the last 12 years. Any questions, comments?
Jenny, this is basically our standard, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't believe it's actually become a standard. We are just choosing this particular brand for this substation, which is why we are calling it a single source.
Okay.
If we would like to standardize, that is something you guys would need to work through on your end, but right now I don't believe it's standard.
Okay, thank you.
If there's someone from the business can correct me if I'm incorrect.
Jenny, that's correct. It's Chris here.
Thanks, Chris.
There's in the recommendation for award right here, I think it's mixed with another award title.
You're
You
right.
scroll up, you got the language for annexer and all that, which is a later item. And you'll see that later on you have that be shown on that. So the 2 pages are flipped.
Thanks, Hi. We'll fix that before we send it over. Any other questions, comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 4 with amendments?
Haibu, so moved.
And a second?
Ricky second.
We have a motion from Haibu, a second from Ricky Erickson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 5.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 5 is an invitation for bid, and this is for the Blanding Boulevard driveway entrance. Kirby Development, Inc. is our recommended awardee in the amount of $694,621.51. We expect this project to be completed December of 2023. We received 3 bids. The bids for the construction costs of the project without SWA is approximately 4% lower than our business unit estimate. The SWA is about $70,000, which was included on the bid form, but the decision was made to not include it in the award amount as the design was recently completed and the work is fairly straightforward. However, there are funds in the budget if needed for unforeseen circumstances, if any should arise. Any questions or comments?
Are we sure it's wise not to include SWA? I've never seen the design that's perfect, and it's always change orders. But it's up to the business.
Yeah, we've got it in there in case we need it. So we certainly can add that later, if we need to. But I think they're pretty confident that they're not going to need a change order unless something comes up. But we do have the funds if we need it. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 5?
Joe Orfano, so moved.
In a second?
Haibu, second.
We have a motion from Joe Orfano, a second from Haibu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. Pass it back to Jenny to present award item 6.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 6 is a single source. This is dielectric PPE testing equipment, and this is to test gloves, sleeves, blankets, line hoses, and hot sticks. Hanco International is our recommended awardee in the amount of $354,000. We expect the equipment to arrive January of 2025. And I will note that there are only 2 approved vendors currently. We've got Hanco International and Phoenix Technologies. Just a few differences between the 2 vendors. Hanco can meet the requirements by only using 3 pieces of equipment versus 5, with the other vendor, which is, less expensive, for JEA by about $186,000. In addition, the Hanco products, in addition to them being more cost effective, it also provides a more efficient way for the testing of our products. I'll note that the lead time for the equipment is 2 years, as noted. While longer than Phoenix equipment, this equipment is intended to be used in the new glove lab that is currently under construction and is projected to be completed within the next 2 years, so it can be the longer lead time can be supported. Any questions or comments?
This is high. This one, I'm having a hard time accepting. I'm not convinced that this should be a sole source. The arguments are such that, okay, this company has a different approach. It's going to be cheaper than the other company. Why don't we bid them out and let the prices, if they are cheaper and the way the design is better, then it will show up in the pricing. there's nothing to argue that we have to go with this company. It seems to be a preference. Yeah, it's more cost effective than it's a 3-piece system versus a 5-piece system. But to me, it doesn't fit the arguments for a sole source. There's nothing about the brand, make, manufacturer due to the criticality of the item or compatibility, because we have 2 vendors.
So Chris, do you have any kind of history on why there's only 2 vendors that are approved? And this is kind of is this a standard for us?
No, I don't have anything on this.
That's my
Jenny.
question. We
You
have
don't.
2 vendors, then why are we sole sourcing on one? If it's based on cost, then why didn't we bid it out?
Well, I know they did solicit bids from both. They just didn't post them to the website since there's only 2 approved vendors. And this is the low bid.
But we're not saying that. We're saying we're sole sourcing to a vendor.
But
This is not based on bid.
I think we're sole sourcing after research, is what I
Yeah.
see.
I mean, we didn't follow a competitive, there's 2 vendors that are approved. They requested quotes from both. We didn't
Yeah.
post it to the website per the P code, so this is another option for us instead of the quotes are now public record.
I understand.
Could we
all
have
that.
done this differently? Yes, we certainly could have put it on the website and asked the 2 to submit and follow the exact process. But that is not how this one was performed.
Sometimes our processes are double belts and double suspenders. If we can see on the websites, and we know from generally being in the industry, that a system costs, and I don't remember the numbers, 25% more, and the number of widgets that it has makes the process harder for people to test their equipment. What is the point of going through a very long, intensive paperwork process to come to the same answer?
I agree with that, but we're bound by the P code, and we're bound by the rules of publicly owned utility. We're not. If we follow that, then why don't we do that for everything else? We can get quotes for all services, all products, and then we'll just sole source it to the lowest bidder. But we can't. We have to go through the bidding process and award it to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. And yes, I understand everything you said, but nothing has been said that tells me that we have to sole source it, right? We're essentially giving it to the low bidder, yes.
Does the committee have a recommendation?
I'd like to hear from Rebecca on whether or not we need to circle back around on this one, or if we can proceed.
So this is a, so the short answer is that ultimately it's up to the judgment of the awards committee whether the circumstances here comply with the requirements of the purchasing code for a single source. There are a number of criteria that are listed in the procurement code as justification for using a single source. And the one that's been proposed here is that the supplies or services must be a certain type, brand, make, or manufacturer due to the criticality of the item or compatibility within a JEA utility system, and such supplies or services may not be obtained from multiple sources such as distributors. So that's the justification that's been proposed in the judgment of our Chief Procurement Officer for bringing this as a single source. It is up to the awards committee now to determine whether in your judgment this in fact does comply with the requirements of the procurement code. So just to add a few things here, it does appear to me that, this was initially done as solicitation of quotes, which is permitted under our procedures for informal purchases up to $300,000. And so basically the obtaining of quotes, because the cost for this is above $300,000 under our code and our operational procedures, that is not available as a mechanism to procure these items. So if this doesn't go forward as a single source, then the appropriate thing to do would be to go back and do a formal solicitation. And it would be in the judgment of our procurement team as to the best mechanism for the formal solicitation, whether that would just be an invitation for bid or whether one of our other procurement mechanisms might be more appropriate for these items. But going back to the question that's before the committee today, the presentation has been made, and at this point, it is up to the judgment of the committee as to whether these circumstances fit into the box that's been provided for what constitutes a single source.
Hey,
So
Jenny,
I
this
would
is,
have-
hey, Rebecca, this is Rodney. This isn't my award, but in the single source, there's a bullet point A that there's only one justifiable source for the supplies. And I think, in other single sources that I've done, where evaluation, review, and the overall scope has been looked at, we've had detonation systems in the power plant where there's multiple companies that could provide a type of system that would be able to be used. And we use bullet point A in combination, sometimes with B, and to discuss about the criticality of the platform and the system as a basis for a single source. And bullet point A basically says justifiable source. And here they're talking about pieces of equipment, they're talking about cost, they're talking about lead time, they're talking about already things that are in construction. So I think maybe just adding the bullet point A as a basis as well would help support this is a single source. Just my 2 cents being from the peanut gallery.
So I would have no issue, because we've done this all the time, is converting this from an informal bid to a formal bid, and it gets approved by the awards committee, because the prices came back over $300,000. And so can we provide the quotes of the other systems and say, hey, here are the 2 quotes that we intended to informal bid, but the prices came back over 300. Now we're asking the awards committee to award it formally based on the cost. I have no issues with that at all.
I think that the turnaround time on that would be pretty quick because we already have the information, right, Jenny?
Is it?
We do have the information.
We have the 2 quotes from the vendors, from both vendors.
So it's a change in format, not a go back to square one and start over.
Correct. We're just gonna do it as we award it to the low bidder, versus awarding a single source, which
We're missing one piece of the process, which was posting publicly to the website.
Is this information here, the content posted publicly on the website?
Well, can you get around that?
It's probably just the one quote, Laura,
Yeah.
probably not both.
Can you get that around that, Jenny? Because we only have 2 vendors approved. So It didn't matter if you closed it or not, because you don't have two vendors, and then you got the quotes from two vendors.
Right.
Does it matter, that part?
Well, if this is labeled a standard through a standards committee, then it would still fall under the single source, right?
Yeah,
If it's
we
a
haven't
standard of
gone
some sort.
we have not gone to this. I mean, standards. I mean, Chris Rosenauer's on here, but this is not something that's standards. These are just what the investment recovery team and Chad Yeager's on the call. And Chad, you can speak up as to why this is the only two vendors out there in the marketplace that maybe they're the only two people that make these types of machines.
Hey, this is Chad, and Kenny's correct. There are only two vendors that actually make the gloves, sleeves, hot sticks, line hose, blankets, hood testers, and that is Phoenix and Hanco, that make all of them together to make it a complete set when you're wanting to test equipment. And obviously you want to have one vendor do all of your equipment so you're not piecing. And for this, it made sense in our eyes to go with, you know, who quoted us the cheapest, and it made the most sense for as far as what we're building in the building.
Yeah, that part, choosing Hanko over Phoenix, all that makes sense to me. I just, again, have an issue with the source designation when it should have been a little bit.
And so I'm just taking a look through our operational procedures just to see if we address the situation that we've got here where we have gone out for quotes under our informal purchase procedures, and then the quotes come back over the threshold. And I'm not seeing where this specific situation is addressed in the in our procedures. You know, but I would note that you know, what we've got here is a purchase that would be over the threshold for a formal purchase. So obtaining quotes is not a mechanism that's available under our code. So you've got a few options, I suppose. You know, one would be if the committee did find that under one of the definitions of a single source that the item met that definition, that it could proceed as a single source. You could, and you know, and this maybe you may have some timing considerations with this, but you could start over and just do a formal solicitation and bring it back to the committee. That would be another option. Another option might be to go back and see if there is any way to work with the vendor to get the cost under the $300,000 through value engineering or something. I'm honestly not familiar enough with the specific equipment to know if that's even a feasible option, but that might be another option.
I think given the uncertainty, and we're looking at a 2-year window, my recommendation would be that we defer this for this week, this item for this week, circle back around next week and present a clear case on how we need to move forward with this. If it still comes back over $300,000, at that point, we can present it in context of feedback from Rebecca and others, and we'll just proceed.
But I have a request around the options that we have as a committee, all of the contextual information that we might need, the classic who, what, where, when, how, why analysis is always useful. So on one option, how long does it take and how many people hours at JEA does it take to change tracks? And that's one thing the committee should know. And then on the second, I personally would be uncomfortable value engineering a safety set of equipment and protocol. So I imagine that Value Engineering, a company that is at 365, I can't remember the exact number, 365,000, down below 300,000, 299.99 cents, might result in some you get what you pay for effect, and we don't want to do that in safety. So as we discuss these options, and it helps us see through to how the P code that we wrote might need to be changed for the future, I think it would be very useful to have the context around choice A, choice B, choice C.
I think we also need to keep in mind that if we did something different, are we going to get a different result?
Correct.
Most likely, higher number.
I think it's worth spending some extra time, and let's bring it back next week.
I agree.
Okay, I'll pass it back to the chair for that vote.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to defer award item 6?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Laura Shepis, a second from Joe Orfano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present award item 7.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 7 is a contract increase. This is for our CIPP unit price construction contract with Instituform Technologies LLC. And the award amount on the increase is $1,900,000. This is still within the 3-year term, but this is to add, as described in the background, some additional projects that this company will be helping the wastewater reuse, delivery, and collections group with. Same rate. Any questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the committee for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 7?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion from Laura Shepis, a second from Ricky Ariston. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. I'll pass it back to Jenny to present our final award item for today.
Thank you. Through the chair, award number 8 is an invitation for bid. This is for pull line hardware for JEA inventory stock. This consists of the bid consists of 753 items. Average lead time for these items is between 2 and 36 weeks. We have 4 recommended awardees. Annixter in the amount of $3,881,859.01. We've got Gresco Supply Inc. in the amount of $2,574,612.81. We've got Irby Utilities, the amount of $10,180,393.30. And Tri-State Utility Products Inc. in the amount of $168,073.93. This is a 1-year award with 2 1-year optional renewals, so this will take us through the next year. We received 4 responses, and we have looked at each of the items individually and gone low bid on the items that have been awarded. So this was a low bid cherry pick between the 4 vendors. I'll note that this bid used to contain about 580 items, and we looked across the board for some efficiencies and we included an additional 170 items here from miscellaneous electrical item contracts, so we could combine those here. There were 32 items out of the 753 that did not receive bids at all. So those will have to be spot buys in the market. And I'll note lastly that there was a small price increase, about 5%, but still below the PPI. And we've also included some safeguards in here for us and the vendors to allow for price adjustments annually before renewal, but in addition, willing to entertain cost adjustments for more frequent market adjustments or manufacturer direct pass-through price increases if properly documented to verify to be a justifiable increase in nature. We've done this with this over this last year. It's worked very well with the market the way that it stands today. Any questions or comments?
This is, John, this is the one where you have to switch the awards. Oh, you did.
This is the,
okay, good.
the right one.
Good. Oh, yeah. Yep, yep. So just have to be amended.
That was correct yesterday afternoon.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I'll pass it back to the chair for a vote.
Thank you, Jenny. May I get a motion to approve award item 8?
So moved as amended.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Hai Vu, a second from Joe Arpano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is adopted. Item 6 was deferred. The remaining agenda representing items 1 through 5, 7, and 8 is approved for January 26, 2023. Is there any other business to come before the awards committee at this time? All right, hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.